Mike Graff claims his child's mother crossed the line by putting spyware on a phone he shared with his son. Lisa Fuller says their 10-year-old had to be monitored after Mr. Graff gave him the phone behind her back.
Good day. I see I've got as my plaintiff Mike Graff and my defendant Lisa Fuller. Mr. Graff, I see you're suing for $5,000. Why are we in court today?
That's correct, Your Honor. Yes, sadly, we're here today because I'm suing the mother of my son for emotional distress, invasion of privacy, so much emotional distress that I'm having to see a therapist for PTSD, and she needs to pay for it, frankly.
Okay. Sorry to hear that, sir. So you're saying your therapy is currently and projected to cost $5,000. What has she done, sir, to lead you to this space?
The main reason we're here today is because she installed a software on the phone that I gave to our son that allows her to see all text message, emails, everything, and including deleted text messages that I had exchanged with my former girlfriend, and just the constant bombardment and just harassment that she's caused me. So I would love for her to be held accountable, boundaries to be set, so that we can move forward.
So you are very, very upset, Mr. Graff. I can see that. Let's back up here. How long were you in a relationship with this woman, and how old is your child?
Mikey's 10 years old. We were together for a brief time. It was a one-night stand.
That happens. Okay.
And Mikey was not the plan. However, we're thankful for him, and we've tried to make it work for about a year. But
as a couple, or?
Yes, as a couple.
Yes, as a couple. Okay, and that wasn't successful. Looks like no. Okay, so you two have been co-parenting for many years now. If Mikey's 10, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you guys have been co-parenting, and how has that been going, sir?
It's been going, you know, we never got here. We never had a judicial hearing or anything, no claims. So it's all been between.
No shade. Okay. Yeah.
It's been between us. We've been able to make it work. It's had its ups and downs.
So it's been going pretty okay up until this point, is what I hear. And she's disagreeing, which we'll hear her side in a second. You're saying it was going okay until this point. And I want to get clarity again, Mr. Graff. There's a cell phone that you gave your son.
Correct.
And at some point, you're saying, and she'll tell her side, that she put spyware, for lack of a better term, on this device.
Yes.
But you're telling me that that spyware also allowed her to see your text messages and your private information?
So, yes, because it is, while my son does use it, it is still my phone. I bought it for him. I need to be able to use it on occasion. If my phone's dead, you know, if we're at a place and my phone's either charging.
So you kind of share the phone?
Correct.
And do you also have your own phone?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, because I don't need him to see everything that's on my phone. I just want him to
Well, I
have.
certainly hope not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're saying that this has caused you trauma. How?
In the sense that it's an invasion of privacy. She called me up out of the blue. This is the big spark that led us here.
Please.
I was, going about my day, and she called me out of the blue, fully unhinged, just screaming at me.
Unhinged.
When are you planning on telling me you're going to move? And I just
So what is she talking about, sir? When are you moving, and why is she hearing it from the phone?
Sorry, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm not moving. I told her, hey, I'm not moving. I don't know what you're talking about. If I was going to move, I would have told you. We would have a conversation about it. And I asked, so what are you accusing me of this for? She sends me a screenshot. Thank you for bringing that up. She sends me a screenshot of a private conversation I was having with my girlfriend at the time. And I was just
Through
instantly.
Mikey's phone.
Madam Defendant, I'll get to you in 1 second. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Instantly just felt completely violated. Like, I mean, how did she get that? And so I asked her.
So you didn't know that she had this spyware on the. Okay.
No knowledge of this. So I asked her, how were you able to see this? And she said, don't worry about it.
Okay, let's pause there.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Fuller. He's been talking a lot to the court. Let me hear from you. What's up with this spyware, the phone, you calling and blasting him out? What's true?
To start off, Your Honor, he likes to say that we've been co-parenting very well, but it hasn't been very well for the last 10 years. We've agreed to some things, and he's gone behind my back with the phone. For example, we have said that we're not going to give our 10-year-old child a phone until he's in middle school, until he is a teenager, and he is 10 years old, and he now has a smartphone, which I found out after he came home. Mikey came home, and I saw that he had a smartphone.
So you're telling the court, ma'am, that the father of your child, of y'all's child that you share, was defiant per your request to not have a cell phone to your child until the teenage years.
It wasn't only my request. We had agreed.
Y'all had agreed.
We agreed to
Okay, so
it.
let's take a pause. Mr. Graff, is that true?
Coming up on Equal Justice.
I get that you are fragile and that we're going to get to this PTSD claim, and that's clear. I'm convinced of that. What I can't make out yet is if she is responsible.
Equal Justice is back with a case of Mike Graff, who is fighting with Lisa Fuller over spyware on his phone.
Is that true?
Yes, but I can own up to that. I can own up to saying that, yeah, I may have overstepped there.
May have.
Correct.
Okay.
But as you can see with her constantly bombarding me,
No, I actually
yeah.
haven't seen that, sir.
Thank you.
I can't say I've seen a bombardment. I've seen you stumbling over your words here with the court and, you know, awfully upset. But I'm still trying to make out what she has done, because that's my job today, sir, right?
Correct.
I get that you're upset. I get that you are fragile and that we're going to get to this PTSD claim and your upsettedness, and that's clear. I'm convinced of that. What I can't make out yet is if she is responsible for that. So that's what I need you to help me with. So she's saying, and you're admitting, that y'all agreed as two consenting adults to say this young boy, he's still a boy, doesn't need a cell phone with all of the risk associated with cell phone devices and social media and, quite frankly, kidnapping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are putting tags and things on young people's phones and snatching them off the streets every day. So there is a lot of risk. So I can see where, as parents, y'all would decide collectively, keyword there, collectively, to refrain from that until a later date. But you go behind her back, actually, and you don't do that. Tell me why.
because, Your Honor, due to our previous relationship when we were together, it was very difficult, and that was the onset of a lot of the trauma that I now have. And this is really what triggered that, and I want to deal with it. I want to be the best dad I can be to him.
Oh, sure.
And so I want to work on myself, and I don't think it's fair that I have to pay that when she is the cause of all of that stress and trauma, because we have to do this together.
How, sir? Convince me how. And before we get to that, you still haven't answered my first question, Mr. Graff. Why did you go behind his mother's back and give your 10-year-old a phone when you agreed that wasn't really a good idea?
I did it to appease Mikey. I try to be a good father to him, and
I get it. Okay. Elijah, we got a people pleaser on our hands.
We've seen this before.
We've seen this one before. Okay. But you do know that parenting is about doing what's in the best interest of your son, right?
Absolutely.
Not appeasing him?
Absolutely.
Okay, continue. We want to move on now to where this woman is responsible. Tell me, what did she do, sir, to get to these medical bills of $5,000?
So she looked on the phone at deleted messages, saw a conversation between me and my girlfriend, read it, and totally invaded my
Is she the cause of it?
privacy.
Because you kept saying former girlfriend breakup. Is she the cause of the breakup? Are you telling me?
Absolutely.
Tell me why. Get to it quickly, sir.
Because it was always about her. It was always about her stepping into our relationship, overstepping boundaries.
And your then girlfriend got tired of having to play third party to a pre-existing relationship that, quite frankly, the court is not clear that you have really closed this chapter with this woman. It sounds like she's got a little too much control/impact, and it sounds like you're allowing it, though, sir.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do today, is set boundaries. Because
Oh, you came to court to set a relationship boundary. How about those apples? Hold on a minute, sir. Ma'am, you said you have some text messages for me to see.
I do.
Please
I
give
do.
those to my bailiff. Thank you, ma'am. Give everything you've got in the folder. Thank you. Let me review this so I can get a better understanding. Thank you. Okie dokie.
And these are on Mikey's
This
phone.
is the 10-year-old's phone.
This is the 10-year-old's phone.
Right, because I was going to get to the text messages, but my eye got sent over here when I'm looking at these search
Yeah, the
engines.
search, and that's what I found.
Sex, kissing, gun scenes, how to kiss at 10?
10 years old.
Okay, how to kiss, pretty girls. Oh, Lord, okay, so this is the search
minor.
engine of a 10-year-old.
My son is searching that.
Okay,
Yes.
then let's see, this is Emily, so this is the girlfriend?
That's his
Okay,
past
so this is a
girlfriend, yeah.
text between your son's father
Yep.
and his then girlfriend. I think it's time we take the next step. I think it's time we move in together. Really, oh my God, I've been waiting on this. Are you gonna tell Lisa, that is the defendant here? Plaintiff says, nah, she'd probably have a hissy fit. Girlfriend at the time, yeah, true, she's used to any excuse to get mad at you, plus my house, my rules, she doesn't control me. Well, sir, actually, it seems like she does. It seems like that you allow anybody in your face to control you, from the woman you have a child with to this girlfriend here to your 10-year-old son. So when do you, Mr. Graff, become an adult and create boundaries for the way you want to live? Or is that my job?
We're here today because she violated my privacy and caused me immense emotional distress.
He wants to talk
so you
about-
can talk about
Okay.
about parenting all you want. That's something between us. We can work on that. But what she can't accept and she can't own up for is the fact that she is constantly abusing me and verbally, Your Honor, and just to the point where I need help and
Okay, I think we agree you need some help. That part we got.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Fuller, how about it? How about the fact that he's saying that you are violating his privacy, you're in his business, and that you are controlling his household? What do you say to that?
I say that that is crap. He's on our child's phone texting his girlfriend, trash talking the mother of his child, and the child is reading
Your Honor,
those
if I
text
may-
messages.
No, you may
The
not.
child
Mr.
is
Graff,
read-
you may not.
He's
Go ahead.
reading those messages. I am taking care of our child 24/7 with exception for the week that he's taking care of him, but he's neglecting our child by not monitoring the phone. I'm monitoring the phone.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
You are correct, sir. You do suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. It says you've got stressful and traumatic events. The court is noting that.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a case of Mike Graff, who is fighting with Lisa Fuller over spyware on his phone.
Mr. Graff, do you have evidence for the court? How did
Yes,
we get to
I-
$5,000? Please offer
Yes,
that
I
up.
do. I've got the 5 months of therapy each session, $250 twice a month, and then.
Sir, I can
Let me
read just
get-
fine. Go ahead and
let
give
me
that to my
get-
bailiff. Thank you, sir.
There's also in there evidence from my phone service provider that shows that she did install. a
Okay, let's start
software.
with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. This is the spy feature.
Correct.
This applies to all the social media channels, the browser history. But she's not disputing that, sir. She's telling the court very
Yep.
openly that she's a concerned mother.
Yep.
You went behind her back. You gave a 10-year-old a phone against y'all's consensual agreement to not do so until he turned 13. As such, her only response was to either take the phone, one would presume, which I don't think you would appreciate, or do what she's done here. She's got to have some type of parental oversight because someone has to, sir. So this is actually not disputed evidence. This is conceded by both parties. Spyware was on the device. Moving on. Okay, this again, not important. This is you taking up the issue of spyware with the company. They're saying, yes, spyware is there. Again, non-disputed issue. Let's get to this piece of evidence. This is from your psychiatrist, Dr. Wong here. Per your request, I'm diagnosing you. You are correct, sir. You do suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, per your psychiatrist. It says you've got stressful and traumatic events. You have to have bi-weekly outpatient sessions to treat this. But now let's get to the money. These are these invoices, sir, that where you're paying for 30-minute therapy sessions. What is this, twice a month?
That's correct.
Okay, to the tune of $500. And you're saying you're going to need this for about almost a better part of a year, which is how we get to $5,000?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
Yeah.
Why are you not responsible?
Because I think he's had these issues way before we met. That is his own baggage. I have been a responsible mother.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a case of Mike Graff, who is fighting with Lisa Fuller over spyware on his phone.
And ma'am, I think I'm ready to rule here, but a final question for you.
Yeah.
Why are you not responsible for the fact that he claims that all of this is due to you?
Because I think he's had these issues way before we met. Way before we met. That is his own baggage. And I have been a responsible mother. I've been a caring and a nurturing mother. And my priority is my son. My concern is my son. I don't care what he does with his life. I don't care about his girlfriends. I don't care about his personal stuff. I care about the protection and the safety of our son. If he's got emotional things that he needs to work on, I will gladly support him in that because I want our child to have a loving, supportive, and healthy, stable emotional father. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'm responsible for that. I think my only job is to protect my son, and I don't think he likes that because he himself has been negligent, and he needs to stand up and be responsible for that and stop being this cool dad and start being a real dad.
Shots fired.
Your Honor,
Okay.
if I may, she talks about not caring about what I do, yet all she can do is read all these texts concerned about me moving
Now,
in with
you know
my
what, Mr.
girlfriend.
Graff? I think the court's heard enough, actually, on this case. Thank you both for your testimony and your evidence. Here's the thing. This is common, actually, where you've got two adults that I do believe, and I want to be clear on this, are showing up in good faith with every effort to be good parents. I do believe that. However, y'all have two very different points of view as to what makes a good parent. This woman is really having to step into the posture of protecting and providing. You, sir, are stepping into the posture of companionship for your son.
Judge Eboni's verdict when Equal Justice returns. This is Equal Justice.
Your son is 10. This is a very important formative age for him. He is starting to, as we can see by that search engine, he's getting curious about things. Your son shouldn't be going to Google about how to kiss. He should be going to his father. I actually see couples, former couples in this courtroom every day. And many times I'm not so convinced that the romantic desires of one party to another are totally resolved. But oh, today, I don't believe this woman cares one bit, sir, about what you do with your personal life. I don't think she would have you back if you wanted her. What I believe is you need to really work on your boundaries. I do see a man who is deeply fragile. I believe you are traumatized. But the issue, sir, is I believe you showed up that way when you met this woman. And you cannot, sir, reasonably expect this court to make this woman foot a bill for you doing your work. Your son deserves the best of you. I'm glad you are seeking mental health treatment to get that. More parents should do that and do their work. But, sir, this woman is not financially obligated to pay for your work. The court will dismiss the plaintiff's case entirely. That is my ruling.
Judge Eboni has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
The courtroom atmosphere was thick with the weight of unspoken tensions, a quiet friction that had simmered for 10 years and finally boiled over into the small, wood-paneled room. Judge Eboni K. Williams sat with a regal composure, her gaze sweeping across the two individuals standing before her. She was a woman who commanded respect not merely through her title, but through an inherent, grounded authority that bridged the gap between the North Carolina hills, the Louisiana bayous, the cool sensibilities of the West Coast, and the relentless, fast-paced edge of New York. Her presence was a reminder that in this sanctuary of justice, pedigree and background mattered less than the fundamental principles of truth and the integrity of the law. The plaintiff, Mike Graff, stood with his shoulders hunched, his hands fidgeting slightly as if trying to hold onto his fraying composure. Across the aisle, the defendant, Lisa Fuller, maintained a posture of guarded vigilance, her eyes tracking the proceedings with a mixture of frustration and steely resolve. The matter at hand was a dispute over digital boundaries, parental agreements, and the nebulous line between protection and intrusion. Lisa Fuller shook her head, her voice steady. "No, I do not, Your Honor." The judge nodded, a small, knowing expression crossing her face. Equal justice is all about the most important values of our country. Freedom and integrity are the things that I am constantly striving for. Ma'am, you run your household, and this man gets to run his. I decided to become an attorney and pursue the law because I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. This court cannot hold this woman accountable simply because of a conflict of interest, but it can weigh the truth. People from all sectors of life, black, white, purple, gay, straight, queer, and that is what Equal Justice with Judge Eboni K. Williams is all about. She turned her attention back to the files before her. Mike Graff claims his child's mother crossed the line by putting spyware on a phone he shared with their 10-year-old son. Lisa Fuller says their son had to be monitored after Mr. Graff gave him the phone behind her back.
Good day.
I see I have as my plaintiff Mike Graff and my defendant Lisa Fuller. Mr. Graff, I see you are suing for $5,000. Why are we in court today? Mr. Graff cleared his throat, his voice cracking slightly. That is correct, Your Honor. Yes, sadly, we are here today because I am suing the mother of my son for emotional distress and invasion of privacy. So much emotional distress that I am having to see a therapist for post-traumatic stress disorder, and she needs to pay for it, frankly. Judge Ebony K. Williams listened intently, her pen hovering over the document. I am sorry to hear that, sir. So you are saying your therapy is currently and projected to cost $5,000. What has she done, sir, to lead you to this space? The main reason we are here today is because she installed a software on the phone that I gave to our son that allows her to see all text messages, emails, everything, including deleted text messages that I had exchanged with my former girlfriend, and just the constant bombardment and harassment that she has caused me. So I would love for her to be held accountable, boundaries to be set, so that we can move forward. The judge leaned forward, her expression contemplative. So you are very, very upset, Mr. Graff. I can see that. Let us back up here. How long were you in a relationship with this woman, and how old is your child? Mikey is 10 years old. We were together for a brief time.
It was a one-night stand.
That happens. Mikey was not the plan. However, we are thankful for him, and we have tried to make it work for about a year as a couple. That was not successful? No, Your Honor. So you two have been co-parenting for many years now if Mikey is 10, correct? That is correct. And how has that been going, sir? It has been going, we never got here. We never had a judicial hearing or anything, no claims. It has all been between us. We have been able to make it work. It has had its ups and downs, but it has been going pretty okay up until this point. Judge Ebony K. Williams gestured toward Lisa. She is disagreeing, which we will hear her side in a second. You are saying it was going okay until this point. I want to get clarity, Mr. Graff. There is a cell phone that you gave your son.
Correct?
And at some point you are saying, and she will tell her side, that she put spyware, for lack of a better term, on this device. You are telling me that that spyware also allowed her to see your text messages and your private information? Yes, because it is, while my son does use it, it is still my phone. I bought it for him. I need to be able to use it on occasion if my phone is dead, or if we are at a place and my phone is charging. So you kind of share the phone?
Correct.
And do you also have your own phone?
Yes.
So you are saying that this has caused you trauma?
How?
In the sense that it is an invasion of privacy. She called me up out of the blue. This is the big spark that led us here. I was going about my day, and she called me out of the blue, fully unhinged, just screaming at me. When are you planning on telling me you're going to move? The judge raised an eyebrow. What is she talking about, sir? When are you moving, and why is she hearing it from the phone? Sorry, that is exactly it. I am not moving. I told her, hey, I am not moving. I do not know what you're talking about. If I was going to move, I would have told you. We would have a conversation about it. And I asked, so what are you accusing me of this for? She then sends me a screenshot of a private conversation I was having with my girlfriend at the time. I instantly felt completely violated. You did not know that she had this spyware on the phone?
No knowledge.
Let us pause there. Ms. Fuller, he has been talking a lot to the court. Let me hear from you. What is up with this spyware, the phone, you calling him, blasting him out? What is true? Well, to start off, Your Honor, he likes to say that we have been co-parenting very well, but it has not been very well for the last 10 years. We have agreed to some things, and he has gone behind my back with the phone. For example, we had said that we were not going to give our 10-year-old child a phone until he was in middle school, until he was a teenager, and he is 10 years old. He now has a smartphone, which I found out after he came home. I saw that he had a smartphone in his hand. So you are telling the court, ma'am, that the father of your child was defiant of your request to not have a cell phone for your child until the teenage years? It was not only my request, we had agreed. Okay, let us take a pause. Mr. Graff, is that true? The courtroom seemed to shrink as the tension between the two parents became palpable. Judge Ebony K. Williams looked from one to the other, seeking the truth beneath the surface of the argument. She understood that in the arena of family law, the conflict was rarely about the device itself, but about trust, boundaries, and the long-term impact on the child caught in the middle. She continued, I get that you are fragile, and that we are going to get to this post-traumatic stress disorder claim, and that is clear. I am convinced of that. What I cannot make out yet is if she is responsible for that. Mr. Graff nodded slowly, his voice softer now. Yes, Your Honor, it is true, but I can own up to that. I can own up to saying that, yeah, I may have overstepped there. May have?
Correct.
But as you can see with her constantly bombarding me, I guess I actually have not seen that, sir. I have seen you stumbling over your words here with the court, and you are awfully upset. But I am still trying to make out what she has done, because that is my job today, sir. I get that you are upset and that you are fragile, but I need to understand if she is responsible for your condition. You admitted that you two, as consenting adults, agreed that a 10-year-old boy does not need a cell phone with all of the risks associated with devices, social media, and, quite frankly, kidnapping. People are putting tags on young people's phones and stashing them off the streets every day. So there is a lot of risk. I can see why, as parents, you would decide collectively to refrain from that until a later date. But you go behind her back and you do not do that. Tell me why. Because, Your Honor, due to our previous relationship when we were together, it was very difficult, and that was the onset of a lot of the trauma that I now have, and this is really what triggered that. I want to deal with it. I want to be the best dad I can be to him. I want to work on myself, and I do not think it is fair that I have to pay that when she is the cause of all of that stress and trauma.
How, sir? Convince me how.
And before we get to that, you still have not answered my first question, Mr. Graff. Why did you go behind his mother's back and give your 10-year-old a phone when you agreed that was not really a good idea? I did it to appease Mikey. I try to be a good father to him. The judge sighed, a look of profound patience crossing her face. Elijah, we have a people pleaser on our hands. We have seen this one before. But you do know that parenting is about doing what is in the best interest of your son, right? Not appeasing him? Absolutely. We want to move on now to where this woman is responsible. Tell me, what did she do, sir, to get to these medical bills of $5,000? So, she looked on the phone at deleted messages, saw a conversation between me and my girlfriend, read it, and totally invaded my privacy. Judge Eboni K. Williams looked at the defendant, her expression unwavering. Ms. Fuller, you heard his claim. You have been silent for a moment. How do you respond to the claim of $5,000 for therapy? Your Honor, I did not put software on the phone to spy on his love life. I put a parental monitoring app on the phone because my son was coming home telling me things that he saw on the internet that were not appropriate for a child his age. I did not even know that he was sharing his personal account on that phone until he started getting notifications for his private messages on our son's tablet, which was synced to the cloud. I did not seek out his private life. It came into my home, into my son's space, and I had to protect him. The court was silent, the revelation hanging in the air. The judge looked from the defendant to the plaintiff, the complexity of the situation becoming clear. It was a classic clash of digital footprints. Mr. Graff, the judge said, her voice firm but kind, do you understand that when you use a shared device for private communication, you lose a certain expectation of privacy? When you sync accounts to a device that is used by a 10-year-old, you are inviting that information into the home of his mother. Mr. Graff looked down, his bravado fading. I did not think of it like that, Your Honor. Lisa Fuller stood straight. I just want what is best for Mikey. I do not want to be involved in his drama. I just want to know that my son is safe. Judge Eboni K. Williams nodded, her decision crystallizing. This is the heart of equal justice. It is not about winning a point or exacting revenge. It is about taking responsibility for the choices we make as parents. Mr. Graff, you chose to give a child a device that you then used for your own private, adult life. You opened the door to the very invasion you are now complaining about. She paused, letting the words sink in. Ms. Fuller, while your intentions were to protect your son, the methods you used, by not communicating directly with his father, contributed to this breakdown in trust. Communication is the bedrock of co-parenting. Without it, you are both just spinning in circles of misunderstanding. The judge looked at them both, her tone shifting toward a more instructional, humanistic approach. I am not going to award you the $5,000, Mr. Graff. You are responsible for your own choices and the way you manage your private affairs on a device you gave to a child. You also need to address your past trauma, not by blaming his mother for uncovering what you left open for her to see, but by healing yourself through proper, transparent boundaries. She turned to Lisa. And you, Ms. Fuller, need to find a way to express your concerns to his father without resorting to secret monitoring. If you feel he is making poor decisions with your son, You bring it to him, you bring it to mediation, or you bring it to court. You do not hide in the shadows of an app. The courtroom felt lighter, the tension replaced by the sober realization of the work that remained for both parents. The judge leaned back, her final words resonating. You have a 10-year-old boy who deserves parents who can talk to each other instead of through each other. My ruling is that the claim for $5,000 is denied. I am ordering you both into mediation to establish a clear, binding agreement on technology, digital safety, and communication. You will learn to parent together, or you will find yourselves back in this courtroom, and next time, the consequences for the child will be far greater than any $5,000. As the session concluded, the silence was no longer heavy with conflict, but thoughtful, expectant. The two parents looked at each other, the animosity replaced by a flicker of understanding. They had come seeking a verdict, but they had received something far more valuable, a mirror reflecting their own shortcomings and a roadmap for their future. Judge Eboni K. Williams watched them leave, her eyes calm and steady. She knew that the true work of justice was not in the gavel, but in the transformation of the people who stood before it. The case of the spyware was closed, but the real journey of co-parenting had only just begun. It was a lesson in accountability, a reminder that every action leaves a trace, and that the best way to move forward is to let go of the need to be right and embrace the duty to be better. The room emptied slowly, the echoes of their footsteps lingering on the polished floor. Outside, the world was moving on, oblivious to the quiet drama that had unfolded, but within those walls, something had shifted. It was the quiet hope of progress, the gentle nudge toward a healthier, more transparent way of living. It was, in essence, the very definition of equal justice, a commitment to the truth, however uncomfortable, and a dedication to the well-being of the future. As the sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, the judge remained for a moment in the silence. She reflected on the day, the stories that had crossed her bench, and the resilience of the human spirit. She was reminded of why she chose this path, why she dedicated her life to the pursuit of fairness and the education of those who lost their way. In every case, she found a thread of humanity, a desire to be understood, and a hope for a better tomorrow. Whether it was a disagreement over a phone or a life-altering dispute, the core of the issue was always the same: how we treat one another. And in that, there was always room for growth, for reconciliation, and for the kind of grace that only true understanding could provide. She stood up, her robe sweeping behind her, and walked toward her chambers. The day was far from over, but the lesson was clear. Justice was not a destination, it was a practice. And as she prepared for the next case, she held on to the belief that with every word spoken, every truth revealed, and every boundary set, the world became a little bit more balanced, a little bit more just, and a little bit more capable of love. The journey of Mike Graff and Lisa Fuller was a testament to the fact that even in the most contentious situations, there is a path to healing. It requires the courage to face one's own faults, the humility to listen to the other side, and the commitment to put the needs of a child above the ego of the parents. It is a story told in 1,000 courtrooms, but it is one that bears repeating, because it is in the repetition that the lesson is learned, and in the learning that the cycle is broken. As the afternoon light began to fade into the soft hues of evening, the atmosphere in the courtroom felt renewed. The lessons of the day had been planted like seeds in the minds of those who were present. The importance of clear, open communication, the necessity of setting healthy digital boundaries, and the fundamental truth that a child's well-being is the ultimate measure of success for any parent. Judge Eboni K. Williams knew that the path ahead for the two parents would not be easy. Old habits, deep-seated resentment, and the complexities of their past would likely rise up to challenge them. But the foundation had been laid. They had been given the tools to build something better, a structure of cooperation and mutual respect that would serve their son far better than any amount of surveillance ever could. She thought of the young boy, Mikey, 10 years old, standing on the threshold of his adolescence. He was the reason they were there, the catalyst for the conflict, and the potential beneficiary of the resolution. He was the voiceless one, the one for whom she stood. And in the end, That was what made it all worth it. The protection of the vulnerable, the guidance of the misguided, and the steadfast commitment to the principles of equality, integrity, and freedom. As she looked out the window at the bustling city, she felt a sense of peace. The law was not just a set of rules. It was a living, breathing entity that evolved with the people it served. It was a mirror held up to society, reflecting our struggles and our aspirations. And as long as there were judges who cared, lawyers who listened, and people who were willing to confront the truth, there would always be hope. The day concluded, and the echoes of the courtroom faded into the quiet hum of the evening. The case was settled, but the story remained, a small part of the larger narrative of human experience. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is a light, and that light, when guided by the principles of justice, can lead us out of the shadows and into a clearer, more compassionate world. The courtroom stood empty, a silent sentinel of the values that define a just society. It had seen many stories,